Hi, Sarah here for the UK Scrap Addicts creative team. Today I'm doing a layout that is using alphas, which is this month's challenge, and trying to use them in different ways. I've chosen to try and make my alphas quite a big feature of my layout, and also to do them on an angle, as you'll see shortly. So to begin with my layout, I did cut down some mixed media paper, which tends not to warp as much as other cardstocks, so that I can add lots of water and mixed media to it. And I'm using these mermaid markers by Jane Davenport. They're a intense water colour in a little pen with a brush on the end. They work really well, they're really easy to use, and the colours saturate the paper really well, and they're nice and bold. As you can see, because I've added water first, the colours are blending themselves together and doing their own thing there. I did do a test piece before. I didn't just slap this on here. I did choose some colours and make sure that they weren't going to become murky together. And I'm also using my Mind the Scrap October kit, so I have matched up my colours with that too. So for this month we do have a sponsor again, which is Crafty Ribbons. So if you want to join in and make your own layout using alphas and some ribbon, if you fancy it, then you can enter yours into a random draw, and one person will win £25 worth of vouchers for Crafty Ribbons. And I think you do have to be in the UK to enter, as far as I know. So I'll be leaving links below for both the Mind the Scrap kits and also Crafty Ribbons shop, and the links to all the UK Scrap Addicts social media bits like Instagram, Facebook, and the blog itself. So you can go over there and check out how to enter the competition. As you can see here, I'm just blending out the watercolour off my layout with my brush, just to smudge the colours together a little bit, but I don't dab up any colour because I want it to be nice and saturated. It does look a lot more intense in real life, but because we're getting towards winter and the weather's always a bit overcast, I'm having to use my lights a lot more. Now what I've done here is just trimmed all the way around the edge, taken off a little piece from all around the edge, and then I will back this onto some pattern paper in a moment. Now I'm just using this removable adhesive to stick down my photo, and now I'm coming in with a marker. This is a paint over pen, and I think the colour's called Unicorn, and this one's a medium tipped one, and these are also by Jane Davenport, and we're in the mixed media kit for Mind the Scrap the previous month. And as you can see, I'm just drawing some lines that join approximately to where I want the photograph to be, and once I've drawn these down, I come back in and do some loopy lines, which will make up a bit of a spider web mixed media background as I go along here. So because these pens are paint over, it means that they don't react with the background that's already down. They're made specifically to paint over these watercolours. So as you can see here, I'm just adding in a bit of a spider web-ish kind of looking design. It's not the best illustration of spider web, but it does the job. You get the idea. So I'm just adding my lines in here, and then I add a few more at the bottom, and it will look like it's clinging to the paper cluster once I add that in, which is why I keep adding my photo back in, to have a bit of a guideline of where I think that it will end up, so that I have all the web bits going in the right direction. I also use the angle off the web to add my title, so that it stands out nicely and it's following a bit of a line down the page on an angle. And I just wanted to add a little extra one down here, so that's what I'm doing there, and that is my background finished. So as you can see, I have grabbed a pattern paper which I'm going to use to back my mixed media piece on, because my mixed media paper is under 12 inches, so I tend to cut it down a little more and then add a background to it. Depending on what I use, I most of the time will cut out the middle so that I'm not wasting my pattern paper. But if I'm just using cardstock, I do keep it the whole piece behind it, because it does help stop the paper warping, because no matter what, I seem to always find that the paper warps just a little, so it does need to get stuck down so it doesn't curl at the sides and things. So as you can see now, I've just stuck that down, and I'm bringing in my alphas, which are large ones, which are nice and bold, and I'll be choosing what my title is, and this says Hoptune, which is over on the Isle of Man. That's what we have instead of Halloween. We have Hoptune, which is a Manx traditional version of Halloween. And as you can see here, I'm just adding some white cardstock behind my photo because I want my photo to pop, and I feel like it matches well with the web, and I think it will help it stand out a little more rather than get lost because of the background being so bold. And this picture is from sometime in the 80s, and I've got a turnip there because that's what we have. We don't have pumpkins. A little turnip lantern. So the picture is a little muted with the colours, and so I wanted to, you know, no filters. I wanted to make sure that the picture did pop by adding some white black and white layers behind it, just to draw your eye into it a little bit more. So here I'm just adding this cute back paper, which is the other side of the Halloween word paper, and then I will add that other piece behind it which has the words on, which matches the border around the edge, so it all works together well. So I'm just trimming that piece down now. And next up, I'm just going to add a bit of distress ink. This is, I think it's Wilted Violet, this one, and I'm just adding a little bit around the edge. It's very subtle, it's not a very obvious purpley colour behind around it, because I'm using it mostly on the black, but I do add a bit to the white backed layer as well, which is a little, pops a little more, but it's mostly just because basically because my trimmer blade's a little blunt, so there was a bit of a white sort of edge, so I decided just to add a bit of ink to it, plus it goes well with the colours in the page anyway. So now this is just cheap foam from the kiddie section at the Hobbycraft. Apologies if you can hear my little boy giggling in the background, as per usual. Here I'm using the stamp which also came in this month's Mind the Scrap kit, and I'm just going to add a few of these lines of stars all over the place around the photo, and down a few of the lines of the webbing bit as well. And now I want to add a little more white to my background, so I'm using some Distress white ink and just adding a few splashes of that all over the background, which kind of looks like a starry sky, so I might use this technique towards Christmas, but for a maybe Northern Lights style background, because I think that would work quite nicely, because it does kind of look like the night sky rather than just splish splashes of white ink. So I've grabbed these little ghosts that are from the kit as well, and what I'm doing here is writing the start of the Hoptune song, which is a Manx traditional song. So I've just written a couple of the lyrics there, and it's a little speech bubble, so of course the little ghost at the top is going to be singing that up there, as you do. So I'm just popping these up on foam. This foam is not too thick, it doesn't pop up off the page too much, it just adds a little bit of a subtle amount of dimension, but not too much. So I also do the same to these, but this time I'm just popping up the part of the ghost that are not going to be on my photo so that they lie a little bit more flat to the photograph, so that they're not on a angle. So next up, I want to add a bit of interest to that bottom corner. So I grab one of the brads that was also in the kit, and I take off the arms of the brad and just add some foam tape behind it instead, so it just can be used like that instead of having to punch through my paper. And then I'm just gathering a bit of a cluster to add at the bottom. These word stickers and also that 31st of July are from Mrs. Brimble's, and I'll leave a link to her shop as well, which is also where I got my mermaid markers from, so I'll leave you a link for that. And again, I'm just popping up that haunted house just to add a little more dimension as well. And this brad has got foam which will keep it popped up too. I'm adding this little camera which also came in the kit just to the side there, and I'm pretty much done now. I just go through and find some sequins. I use my Doodlebook design ones, which are teeny weeny pots of them, and I use the purple, the aqua, blue, green and black ones, and I just dot them around in about 4 different places and use one of each, just in a wonky triangle, I guess you call it, which is I quite often will do that kind of shape around them because things look good in threes. So now, as a finishing touch, I'm just adding some Heidi Swap Colour Shining Gold, just to add a little bit more gold, because I've got gold title and gold little background to the witch brad, so I just add a little more gold there, and that is me done. So thanks for joining me today. Make sure you go and check out what everyone else is making this month, and I will leave you with some photographs.